This is Puny Army, here a week late with my mid-season Season 4 update views. And first off, I would just like to get off my chest that I'm glad that the RideTech AMR was not released as paid DLC like a rumor stated, but was released for free. That was one of my big concerns in my previous video, and I'm glad to see my fears were unfounded. What is a problem, though, is the FAL's damage buff, but not for the reasons that you're going to expect me to talk about. See, the damage buff to the FAL just basically makes it an equivalent to the EBR or the SKS. All three kill people in roughly the same amount of time, approximately. So that didn't really bother me in and of itself. The problem with the FAL damage buffs is not that it directly nerfs the EBR and SKS into not even being worth using, because the damage buff alone doesn't really do that, generally speaking. The problem here is that you or I could slap a underbarrel shotgun to the FAL and at least mostly cover its really horrific hipfire and weakness to close range combat, which the EBR and the SKS cannot do. So if somebody runs up on you and you have an underbarrel shotgun attached to your FAL, you are most likely going to win unless they're using the 725 or the Model 680, honestly. Most other shotguns don't one-shot you farther than the underbarrel shotgun can. At least not without multiple shots. And in those distances where they're outranging the shotgun, then you would just shoot them with the FAL anyways, so it doesn't matter. But if they get within that hip-fire range where aiming down sights at your target isn't feasible, switch to the shotgun, you can probably kill them, especially if they're using an SMG. And the EBR and the SKS cannot do this. So simply the fact that you can mount that underbarrel shotgun to the FAL means the SKS and the EBR are a moot point. And this is my problem with this damage buff. It nullifies the need for the EBR or the SKS, and that's not a good thing. Now, I've been of the opinion that since the SKS was released, there was no point to the EBR, because the SKS killed at a similar time frame of 2 shots, roughly speaking, but it was more customizable than the EBR was, and therefore it was more valuable, and the EBR just became a useless waste of space. Well, now that we can basically get a SKS we can slap a shotgun to the underside of, there's no point to the real SKS. What I was really not expecting was that damage buff. I would have been fine with a recoil reduction on the FAL, because that would have made it a weaker but more accurate version of the SKS and the EBR. That would have been fine with me. Keep it at 3-4 shots, roughly speaking, for a kill time for the FAL. Reduce that recoil so the EBR and the SKS at least have some differentiation. But they buffed its damage, and now there's no point to either of the other 2 guns because I can throw a shotgun on the bottom of that gun. I've also heard a rumor that it's about to get a fully automatic mode. Whether this means that its default will be fully automatic or it's getting a weapon mod that allows it to be fully automatic, I don't know. But this isn't a change I like, not because of the damage. The Odin does the same amount of damage and it's fully automatic too. The problem is that that modification to the FAL is worthless. Because, again, I'm going to compare to the Odin here. The Odin can kill people at range in 2-3 shots, just like the FAL. But the Odin is a bullpup design, which means that its hip-fire accuracy is slightly higher than the FAL's is going to be. So that really still leaves the FAL in this weird spot where its fully automatic mode means nothing. And I think it's just a waste of time. What I would like is the FAL's damage to be scaled back to where it was before and have a very slight reduction in either recoil control, or, I'm sorry, a slight buff to recoil control or a slight buff to recoil stabilization. Make it a more accurate version of the stronger marksman rifles that are semi-automatic, and you're in a good spot for that balancing. Then you just got to make the EBR do something different from the SKS, and you've got a winning group of guns right there. Other things I would like to mention is that the stadium was not opened up in the war zone, which is unfortunate since they had the files at least somewhat prepared, and I was really hoping we would see the stadium open up in time for us to actually get in there and play in there in a war zone before the map theoretically changes to Urzikstan in Season 5, according to rumor. The fact that this didn't happen means that the inside of the stadium is going to be just another small map mode, probably for Season 5, and there was no big exciting change to the map of Warzone currently that I was really hoping for. So that was a fair disappointment. As for a few other concerns that I mentioned in my previous video, the fire sale was changed from a random event to a contract, which I really did like. I think that's a great idea, and that is a really cool way of forcing people out into the open, maybe if they wouldn't normally. If they're just taking the contract for the sake of the reward and not because something in that buy station is on sale. What I do wish they didn't do is remove the helicopter event, which I thought was fantastic. I really did think that was a great event. If they haven't removed it and I just haven't seen it, my mistake. I've played a bunch of Warzone games in the past 2 weeks, and I have not yet seen a single supply chopper flying around the area, which is a big shame because I thought that was a fantastic random event to have. If it's still there, I apologize, but I haven't seen it. Finally, the 200 people Warzone I did like. I felt it made the games more exciting than they used to be with the 150 people. It's not a big difference, but you do notice slightly more intensity, and I did like that. And I hope that becomes a permanent change to the Warzone in the future, because I just think 200 people is fine for a BR. That's about where I would put a maximum here of people. I wouldn't do 250 people unless there was an unusually large BR map, but that's a subject for another video at a later time. Those are the really big points that I wanted to hit with this particular video. Besides that, there's not really a whole lot else going on with this update. So, thank you all very much for listening, and my next video will be on mounting, its pros, its cons, and what I think could be done about it. Thank you for listening.